Should we have an introduction?
Hey there!
Ew.
Welcome back
Do we need a
to
title?
Metafiction and You
That is
with Nour El
horrible.
Kaddour and Raymond Seyouri.
I hate that. Should we use that? Just me going over it? Like, ew, I hate that. So your introduction and me going, and that's it. Yeah, that's our intro. Okay, so,
Okie
Raymond,
dokes.
what even is metafiction?
What even is metafiction? I am so glad you asked, Miss El Kaddour. Metafiction. No, basically it's when a show tries to break the fourth wall or shows the edges of the world it's in. So in the episode of Community that I asked you guys to watch, there are plenty of scenes like the characters all need to come up with a plan, and Abed's like, I have a plan, and then he just hunches over and then he quietly whispers, and then the rest of the group is like, Abed, just because you say I have a plan and then quietly whisper doesn't mean the camera is gonna zoom in and then cut away. And then he's like, fine, I guess then the real plan is, and then it immediately cuts away.
Got
So-
it. But it's not as direct as like The Office. Or what was it, Men in Tights?
I think the beginning of Robin Hood Men in Tights is a good example of metafiction, where they all say like F you, Mel Brooks.
Yeah. I feel like it's a very comedic thing. Like, can you take it out of comedy?
That's a good question. Why don't you answer that?
I would if I could.
I'm sure it can be done in horror.
Yeah, I feel, but the thing is, if it's like scary movie, they've done it in horror, but it's comedy.
No, I don't mean horror as in funny, like, ooh, look at the tropes we're doing. I mean horror in the, I know I'm a character inside of a piece, and once the piece is over, it's gonna end, so I'd rather keep this going for as long as possible. Like, I don't know if a horror movie like that's ever been done, or if it should be done,
Like,
but
Scream's done it. Like, they don't turn to the camera in a way that's comedic, but the way they solve the murder, like, if we follow the cliches of every horror movie, then we can find out who the killer is and come out of it alive. You know what I mean?
no, but that's comedic. What I'm saying
Is it
is
though? It's kind of genius.
I think it's very funny.
Indirectly, though. It's not meant to be
Like,
like a
look
ha-ha
how
moment.
unoriginal we are.
That, by the way, the whole point of Scream was kind of a spoof of horror movies, but
Yep,
because it
spoof
kind of
comedy.
yeah, but like not directly. But the thing is, the movie followed all the cliches so well that in itself it became a great horror movie. So I think that is
Yes,
the,
this is
the
Spinal
joke.
Tap. I agree. It's a great documentary, even if it's a mockumentary, and it created a real band. So the fiction became reality in that sense.
True. But we're talking about movies. Like, what horror TV shows have we seen?
Oh,
Like,
I don't know.
There's,
No,
for example, Haunting of
there's
Hill
no.
House. Because we talked about it in
The Haunting of Hill House is a little bit meta because
Is it?
the book exists in the show.
True. But how is that like the fourth wall thing?
I don't know.
Well, I guess because it...
I was just.
Yeah.
It's an interesting question. That's why I want to know if it can be done outside of comedy, because all examples of metafiction I have are comedies.
Same here. So I feel like that question is an important one to ask.
Yes, you're deconstructing the idea of metafiction itself.
It's meta in itself.
It is the meta of meta. It is now hyperrealism. The only way out is through.
We've broken the Matrix.
Huh, there you go.
What? The Matrix?
That's not a comedy.
It's not, but it's a movie and we're doing TV. But we
I
should
know, but
discuss
I'm
the
saying
Matrix.
so it's possible.
Oh wait, hold up, sir. You're right.
But that was what we were asking. Is it even possible? We couldn't think of one. But the Matrix is
It's right
is
there in
pure,
front of our faces.
pure metafiction. It's explaining why we have deja vu and like inconsistencies in reality and all, like.
But I'm sure there's films like The Matrix. Wait, let me just Google films like The Matrix. See what pops up.
TV shows.
TV shows, yes, thank you. Okay. TV shows. Thing is, I feel like our conversation now is so organic. Are we just gonna replicate it later?
We can just have this be the podcast if need be. This podcast itself is metafiction because we realize it's a podcast.
I'm adding this. Hey, I have a question. Is Dracula metafiction? The series?
No.
Because it plays a lot, no?
Why would it be metafiction though?
Because it's kind of... I don't know, I feel like a lot of Dracula films and stuff are like, where they're aware of the legends about themselves.
Yes, kind of, because it's just going like, ooh, I'm not like the others, you know. I don't fear the blah, 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 blooby blue. And then it turns out, no, he does.
Oh, that's true. He does. But not for the reasons we thought? Or is that...
Who cares?
I still really like the show.
Yeah.
You see, it was such a disappointment.
There's a... I can't remember, but somebody was trying to define what comedy is, and it's basically... Or why you shouldn't mock comedies.
What do you mean mock comedies?
Like, you can't make a comedy from another comedy. Like, if you're going to satirize something, you're not going to satirize a comedy because you don't want to put a hat on top of a hat.
That's true.
So I think the idea of metafiction and comedy are inherently related is because the whole idea of comedy is you're putting a hat on something. You're shining light on something that other people would otherwise ignore.
Maybe
I think metafiction is fascinating because it relies, especially Community, it relies on our knowledge of how regular TV works. Like, Community wouldn't be as... You wouldn't enjoy Community as much if it was the first sitcom you've ever seen. The way metafiction works is that it relies on our knowledge of TV in order to spoof it. And especially in a TV show like Community, if Community was the first sitcom you ever watched, you might not enjoy it that much because you're not getting the little nuances of the writing and how it's different from other comedies. Like, Community doesn't... One of the big main plot points in the beginning of the first season are Jeff and Britta going to get together? But in the paintball episode, they point out, why would you want Jeff and Britta to get together when they don't actually have that much chemistry? And the fact that Jeff and Britta are trying to get together is actually ruining the dynamic of the rest of the group. So they should just... So even when they do get together in the middle of the episode, it's not this big monumental moment like Ross and Rachel, which they reference in the episode.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
It's just a thing that happened. And
Okay.
even when it continues to happen in the future, it's not this big, ooh, shocking, look, they've been dating the whole time or they've been sleeping together the whole time. It's just part of life. So
But where does the metafiction play into it?
the metafiction plays into it is that in another TV show, that would be the heart and soul of the show.
True.
Ooh, are Jeff and Britta going to get together? Oh, look at all the lingerings. Actually, in season 2, episode 1, they make an entire sketch based on just, ooh, let's look at the tiny details of what makes them a cute couple, and how you can technically do that with any two pairings, including the two most unlikely pairings. And you can cut around it to make it look super romantic, and it would look just like any other compilation of top 10 reasons why you should ship Chloe and Lucifer. It's like that. The metafiction comes in from that stance because it realizes how other TV shows, especially sitcoms, play around with romantic leads. And it just chooses to ignore it. It makes the conscious choice that, you know what, this doesn't really matter. Like, even when characters get together in the show, it doesn't change that much, and they can break out of it just as quickly as they came into it. It's meta because it's relying on us knowing how these things usually play out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's subverting expectations.
It's fun. Also, you said that they make reference to other shows, like you were talking about Ross and Rachel.
Ross and Rachel, how Glee is a stupid garbage fire of a show.
Well,
I've never seen an episode of Glee. That's unfair of me to say. But like the whole idea of, ooh, let's just use your nostalgia against you by singing songs that you like. And that's what our entire show is about.
I feel attacked.
Yeah, me too. But like, it's the truth.
C'est vrai. Also, you mentioned Chloe and Lucifer. Is Lucifer a metafictional show? I guess they do the same thing that I was talking about Dracula, where it's like all these kind of stereotypes aren't true.
I think it uses elements of it, but it is not
A metafictional show.
Yeah, because, you know, there's the episode where Lucifer has an electric guitar in the CSI lab for some reason, and he plays the Lucifer theme going, crime-solving devil, it makes sense, don't
That's
overthink it. Like,
Or even in the beginning of the very last season that came out, when he first walks into the show, he's whistling the theme. Do you remember that, where he walks into a crime
or
scene?
the section, or at the end of season 4 when he thinks the curse is lifted and there's a whole dance routine.
Oh my god, do I love that dance routine. And the Dirty
And it
Dancing
is,
lift.
Beautiful dance routine, especially the sexual energy between Lucifer and Dan.
What was it? Lucifer?
I don't ship it, so I don't know.
Ouch. Maybe I'll submit that as my fanfiction piece.
I like it more when he hates him.
It's fun. But then Dan becomes very kind of self-aware, and he has his
Douchey.
whole chakra. No, but he stops being a douche at one point, no?
No, but I'm saying I don't like that. I like it when he hates Lucifer.
Oh, okay. Well, there's a point where it becomes hard to watch, where he really does hate Lucifer and it's not playful. That hurts my heart.
Yeah, but that's the best part because he actually has something to do.
Ouch. It's really hard to watch on my end.
No, it is, but like it's intentional, so it's good, question mark.
So, but wait,
Like
okay.
at the end of season 5 when what's his face? When Dan finally finds out
Oh,
and
yeah.
he's crying. That's the good stuff, you know, not the whole let me put on this faux facade. Like, yes, rewatching the season, now it looks better because you realize he's putting on this front just because he misses Charlotte so much. But I'm saying I like it more when they're at odds rather than
This show
like
just got way deeper.
Dan says it best. Dan says it best, which is like, oh, you know, I used to be the guy who I used to be like everyone else. I found you charming, even when you insulted me. I'd say, oh, this, like, it's okay. It was kind of funny, anyways. But now, no longer. I truly hate you.
Ooh, also, sorry, like, I know we got really deep into the
Yeah.
show, but in terms of referencing other good shows and stuff, Lucifer does do that a lot. A lot of its jokes are kind of references, like musical references, or like to different shows and movies, or even at least the format of TV.
I think they do it more later in the show rather than in the beginning.
You think
But
so?
yes, because once it became more of a comedy, that's when those things started showing up.
I think Lucifer got more serious with time. It started out really lighthearted with references and stuff, and then it just became
No.
very dense. Really? We are at
I think
odds.
season one is like a good balance. Season 2 started becoming more funny, but also more serious. Season 3 was just comedy. There was
agreed.
very, very little seriousness.
It became a comedy when they got Kane to play Dust in the Wind on an acoustic guitar.
Yes.
That was very interesting. Anyway,
But then season 4 it pushed into darker themes, but it was still a comedy.
true.
And season 5 is incomplete, so let's not
Yeah, I
try
don't think
to
that's
talk
up for
about it.
discussion. Okay, but here's the
Yeah.
thing. You're saying it leans towards comedy, like as it goes through the show. But does it rely on more metafictional elements in the later seasons or in the earlier seasons?
Yes.
So you still think that like season 5 is more
Yeah,
comedic?
I think they're inherently related. The more comedic Lucifer is as a show, the more self-referential it'll get. They have an entire episode in season 5 about the show, where it turns out that he told a screenwriter about his adventures with Chloe, and he made a show about it called El Diablo.
El Diablo. Oh my god, wasn't she like a stripper turned cop?
Yeah.
And then Chloe is like a hot tub high school.
Mm-hmm.
She has her own thing going on. That's true.
Yeah.
You're right, I guess. I feel like the show itself becomes more self-aware, like as time progresses. Like it starts
because
out
it
like
becomes more comedic.
touche. You've converted me to your way of thought.
I tend to just argue my point until that happens.
But that's good. That's a good thing. I can't debate for the life of me.
It's a skill.
Like, I have a friend who's a lawyer, and I was telling her, like, I can't debate for the life of me. And she's like, listen, okay, what's something you truly believe in? I'm like, Shrek 2 is the best movie ever made. She's like, okay, I'm a... Listen, also, we should talk about Shrek being metafictional.
It is. 100%.
Right?
It is 110%, yes.
It's
It was created to compete with Disney.
Was it now?
The whole reason Shrek exists is to basically say, screw you, Disney. We're doing our own thing. That's why Shrek is an ogre and he lives in this mystical fairy tale world, is because, hey, Disney, you don't have a copyright on fairy tales even though you act like you do.
Ouch.
Here's our own version. In the end of Shrek 1, doesn't he trash a Disney World type place?
He does.
The reason why DreamWorks as a company exists was because the guy who founded it wasn't able to get a CEO position at Disney or something. It's something like that. So he basically left the company and then joined with Steven Spielberg, maybe, I don't know. And they founded DreamWorks to compete with Disney. That is why the company exists.
That's amazing. Also, DreamWorks is so much better.
In more recent years, they've been doing very well for themselves. I
think
say
forever.
that.
Since The Road to El Dorado, since Shrek, they've been, like early 2000s, they've been on top of their game. So when they started.
I think when they started, their first two weren't that good, but they've been pretty good ever since.
Well done. What about Pixar?
Pixar's part of Disney. We're
not going to categorize it as like their own, because they have their own kind of...
it's their main competition, but...
Yeah, but at the same time, you work for me.
I feel like Disney buying Pixar was the end of Disney.
I think you're right.
Which is they bought an animation studio that basically killed their own, monopoly.
Business, yeah.
Are you still recording, by the way?
Oh, yeah, I am. Should I stop?
Whatever you want.
Okay.
But
wait, shouldn't we end it? 1 second, shouldn't we end it like, thanks for listening, but better?
I think that's the perfect end right there.
All right. Goodbye.
This is the Metafiction podcast.